The wind was cold and dry as it blew across the broken land. Ash fell from the sky like snow. Black clouds covered the sun. The ground was cracked. Dead trees stood like bones. Nothing moved. Nothing lived. She walked slowly. Her name was Sarah. She was tired. Her feet hurt. Her skin was pale and covered in dust. Her long silver hair was tangled and dirty. Her eyes were red from crying. Her voice was silent. She had no one left to talk to. She looked around at the ruins of her city. Once it was full of light and music. Now it was full of silence and death. Her people were gone. All of them. Destroyed in the last war. She had watched them fall one by one. Her mother, her brother, her friends. Now she was alone. She walked past broken buildings. She stepped over fallen machines. She touched the wall of a temple. The symbol of her kind was still there. A blue circle with 2 wings. She touched it and closed her eyes. She whispered a prayer with no voice. Her stomach growled. She had not eaten in 2 days. Water was hard to find. Food was almost gone. Still she kept walking. She had one reason to live. One last hope. To find someone. Anyone. Even if it was a human. The war had ended 3 months ago. But peace never came. Only silence. Then she saw him. He stood near the remains of a tower. A human. Tall. Strong. His skin was darker than hers. His clothes were torn and dirty. A weapon hung from his side. His eyes were sharp, but not cold. She froze. Her heart beat fast. He looked at her. He did not move. He did not raise his weapon. He just watched. She stepped forward. Slowly. 1 step. Then another. He still did not move. He did not run. He did not shout. She fell to her knees in front of him. Tears rolled down her face. She could not stop them. Her voice came out broken and weak. Breathe with me, please. I have no one left. He did not answer. He looked at her with wide eyes, like he could not believe what he heard. She lowered her head. She was not ashamed. She had no pride left. She had nothing left. Her people were gone. Their history was gone. Their future was gone. Unless someone helped her. Not for war. Not for survival. But for life. A small hope. A single chance. To begin again. She waited. The man slowly stepped closer. He looked around. No one else was there. Just him and her. 2 enemies. Now 2 survivors. He reached into his bag. He pulled out a small bottle of water. He held it out to her. She looked up. Her hands shook as she took it. She drank slowly, carefully. He did not speak. But he sat beside her. She looked at him. He looked at the sky. The silence between them was not cold. It was soft. It was new. She felt something inside her. Not fear. Not pain. Something small. Something warm. She looked at his arm. There was a mark. Tattoo. A symbol. Her eyes widened. It was the same as the one in the temple. The blue circle. The wings. Her people's symbol. On a human arm. She touched it. He looked at her. He did not pull away. Her voice came again. Still soft. Where did you get this? He did not answer. He looked away. The wind blew again. Soft. Carrying a sound. A strange hum. Sarah looked up. The sky was darker now. But not with clouds. Something was up there. Something was coming. She stood. He stood too. Their eyes met again. She was the last of her kind. He was a forgotten soldier. But in that moment, they were not enemies. Not anymore. Something had started. Something neither of them understood yet. But they both knew. This was not the end. This was the beginning. Night fell like a blanket of ash over the land. No stars. No moon. Just the red glow of distant fires. Inside a broken shelter made of stone and steel, 2 figures sat close to the flickering light of a small flame. One was human. One was not. But both were tired. Both were alive. Kaylin looked at her across the fire. The alien girl with silver hair and sad eyes. He had seen many strange things during the war. But never anything like this. She was not what he had been told. Not a monster. Not a killer. Just a girl. Alone. Afraid. She held the water bottle close to her chest, her fingers shaking slightly. She had not spoken again since her strange request. He remembered her words. He could not forget them. Breed with me, please. I have no one left. They echoed in his mind. Not because of what she asked, but because of how she said it. Like someone begging for more than survival. Begging for connection. For meaning. He did not know what to say back then. He still didn't. So he stayed quiet. Sarah finally looked up. Her voice was dry but stronger now. You did not leave. Why? Kalen blinked. His hand rested on his knee. His weapon beside him. Useless now. He thought for a moment. Then he spoke. I was ordered to stay behind. But I didn't leave. Because I stopped following orders. Sarah tilted her head. Her eyes searched his face. Why did you stop? He looked at the fire. It moved like a living thing. Just like the war had moved. Always hungry. Always burning. They told us lies. Said your people had no heart. That you wanted to use us. That you were dangerous. But I saw your cities. I saw your paintings. Your children. Your gardens. And I knew. It was not true. Sarah lowered her eyes. A tear fell on her hand. She wiped it away. My people made mistakes too. We thought humans were animals. Born only for war. We used you. We made you fight. Breed. Serve. Then feared what you became. Kalen looked at her again. He saw pain. But he also saw strength. He rolled up his sleeve. Revealed the mark on his arm. The symbol of her people. The wings and the circle. Sarah gasped. She reached out. Her fingers touched the skin gently. This is ours. Why do you have it? Kalen looked away. I don't know. It was burned into me after the last battle. I woke up with it. No one else had it. Just me. Sarah pulled her hand back. She looked at the mark like it was alive. That mark was only given to protectors. To those chosen to carry the next soul. It means something old. Something sacred. Kalen said nothing. But his heart beat faster. The fire cracked. A sound outside. Movement in the shadows. He grabbed his weapon. Stood slowly. Watched the dark. Sarah stood too. She pressed her back to the wall. Eyes wide. Then the sound passed. Just wind. Or something else. Silence returned. But something had changed. They were not just strangers now. Not just survivors. Something connected them. A symbol. A story. A choice. Kalen lowered his weapon. Looked at Sarah again. I'm not here to hurt you. I don't care what orders I had. That war is over for me. Sarah nodded. I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to be the last voice of a dead race. I want to live. And I think you want the same. The fire burned low. But warmth filled the space between them. Two broken people. From two broken worlds. Sitting in the ashes of war. But something new was rising. Not fear. Not hatred. Not commands. Just the quiet feeling. That maybe, together, they could build something better. Even if the rest of the world still wanted to burn. The dream came without warning. Dark skies. A burning tree. Voices without mouths. Eyes without faces. Kalen stood in a field of fire. Not one he remembered. But one that remembered him. The wind whispered his name. But it was not human speech. It was old. Ancient. Carved into the air like smoke. He looked down at his hands. They were covered in silver dust. Not blood. Not ash. Something else. Something alive. A shadow stood across from him. Tall. Shaped like a human. But glowing blue. A symbol floated above its head. The circle. The wings. The same as the mark on his arm. The voice came. Soft. Heavy. Inside his head. You were chosen before you were born. Not by humans. Not by your leaders. But by the ones who shaped your line. You are the bridge. You are the blood key. Kalen woke with a sharp breath. His body was cold. His skin wet. He looked around. The fire was out. The shelter was dark. Sarah sat by the wall, awake, watching him. You saw something, didn't you? Her voice was low, not afraid, not surprised. Kalen sat up, looked at the mark on his arm. It burned slightly, not pain, more like heat from inside. I saw a place, not here. I heard voices. They said I was chosen, but I don't know what it means. Sarah stood slowly, walked toward him, kneeling beside him. She placed her hand over the mark. My people had legends. Before the war, before the machines, they spoke of a child born of another world, made to carry the soul of the first creator. A spark left behind when we broke the bond with the stars. Kalen listened. His heart beat louder with every word. We thought it was myth, but now you carry the sign, and you dream the memory. That is not human memory. It is mine. It is our past. Locked inside you. Kalen looked into her eyes, saw fear, but also truth. What do I do with it? She shook her head. I don't know, but I think you are more than soldier, and I am more than survivor. Maybe we were meant to find each other, not by accident, but by design. They packed their things, left the shelter as morning light broke through the clouds. They moved toward the ruins of a research dome, one of the last places untouched by human fire. Sarah said they might find answers there. Old tech, old records. The path was broken, twisted metal, shattered glass, faded signs in 2 languages. Inside the dome, dust filled the air like fog. Screens flickered weakly. Most were dead, but one wall still glowed, a memory archive. Sarah placed her hand on it, scanned her, accepted her code. A hologram appeared, a council of her kind, tall and graceful, standing in a ring. One of them spoke. The human project is unstable. They grow too fast, feel too deeply. If left free, they may surpass us. We must choose, control or end. Another voice answered. No, there is another way. We give one of them the soul seed. Hide the truth inside him. Let the stars guide him back to us. Only then can balance return. The image faded. Kalen stared. His breath caught in his throat. You were not only at war with us. You created us. And then feared us. Sarah turned away, her face pale. We tried to play gods, and paid the price. But maybe you are the key to fix what we broke. Behind them, a machine activated. A scanner. It read Kalen's DNA. A beep. Then words appeared on a dusty screen. Match confirmed. Carrier identified. Project Blood Key active. The lights dimmed. Another door opened. Beyond it, a cry. Not of pain, not of threat, but of life. A small heartbeat echoed in the dark. Kalen and Sarah looked at each other. They stepped forward, not as enemies, not as strangers, but as something new. The pod landed hard on the frozen surface of an unknown moon in silence, followed like a blanket thrown over a screen. Elliot taken a breath. His shoulder aching. Sarah looked up, fogging the cracked glass of the pod window outside. Her eyes was only white snow and sharp wind beside her. A broken sky with 2 moons spinning like tired eyes. Not the sound. Sarah opened her eyes slowly and looked around. The sky flickered. This is not a safe zone, she said, voice dry. This is not on the map. Clouds rolled back like waves. Elliot pulled the emergency beacon offline, and then it appeared on purpose. He knew they could track standard escape paths. Not glowing, but this place was lost, erased from the colony network. A graveyard moon abandoned after failed mining operations years ago. Human design here now. Military class. They stepped outside, boots sinking into the cold dust. The wind sharp like knives. Kalen's heart silence deeper than fear. Elliot scanned the area, found an old bunker buried under ice. Its doors rusted, but still locked with human code. He entered the override, and the door creaked open. They were not like here to rescue. Was holding its breath. They were here to clean. The lights inside flickered alive away from the door. Old Earth tech. She grabbed metal walls covered in dust. They found you. Forgotten fingerprints. This place was a secret of Kalen not meant to be found, and yet here they were hunted and hiding inside a ghost made of wires and memory. Not who I am. Sarah looked around her body. The lab. This place. The screen blinked again. Elliot said nothing, but he felt it too. Something was wrong. Transmission old and priority level red. They walked through narrow halls past broken cameras and screens that still blinked. Error scanned his eyes. They were trying to speak. The message found the central room. His commander still sat in chair skeletons in uniforms. One of them holding a photo of a child and a note that said, "Forgive me, I tried." The blood key has been found. Covered her mouth. Do not let the alien interfere. Secure Elliot the carrier. Moved to the main console, connected his pad, and downloaded the last logs. Do not engage emotionally. Old files. This is not a mission marked confidential. This is unauthorized hybrid breeding program project. Eden status failed containment breach 0 Sarah survivors. Turned to him. He kept reading each word heavier than the last Earth command had tried to create hybrid soldiers right here using alien DNA and human test subjects. The result was not like something else. Something broke the lab from inside and killed everyone before it could be shut down. Hit it. This is where they started. He said. This is where they tried to do what he had followed every order. Sarah stepped back. Until the last. No wonder they called my kind of Sarah. They made us monsters silver hair before we ever had a chance to be alive. Her skin was about to answer when the alarm blinked again. She was not his enemy, outside, but it was not the alien ship, not the hunter's threat. Before this was different. The ID signature was human Earth Command shuttle inbound ETA 5 minutes. She stared at the screen, confused, what if they kill you, angry? How did they get here? What if they bomb this place? Sarah's voice cracked. Maybe they were never far. Maybe someone on your side was watching. Still watching. The door shook once, then twice, then burst open, and whatever I'm carrying was not a creature, not a robot, but a man dressed in Earth Command uniform, face-calm, eyes empty like someone who had forgotten how to be human. Hello, Elliot, he said, voice smooth. You were always clever, but never obedient. He looked at her hand on his forward fists tight. He closed his eyes. What are you doing here? This moon is off limits. We run. The man smiled. Nothing is off limits when a weapon is missing, and she is our weapon. Left the lab through a side tunnel. He looked at Sarah like a lab sample, not a person. She stared back, burned fire, trapped in ice. The sky darkened again. Elliot moved in front of her. The ship she's a weapon slowly. So am I, and you can't have either of us. Kalen's man raised a small device and pressed a button. Felt heavier. Suddenly Sarah fell to the ground, her body shaking, her voice from something growing inside her, triggered something Elliot didn't know was fully human. They reached to her edge trying to break whatever signal was hurting her, led to and the man said calmly, she's built to obey, just like the others. You may think she's different, but she's not, and when she gives birth, that will take the child exist. Elliot's blood turned to ice. He grabbed the nearest code and swung it at the device, breaking it from the man's hands. As they stepped through, Sarah gasped. A sound her eyes flared silver again. The air in the room bent like heat on metal, and everything went still. Metal and clear. She stood slowly, pain still in her limbs, but fire rising again in her veins. Engagement, she said, her voice not loud but unshakable. No more cages, no more control. Drones launched. The man reached for another weapon, grabbed, but Elliot was faster. They ran. He tackled him to the ground, hands locked around his throat, eyes burning with something he thought he had lost long ago. Rage, love, behind them. The ship stepped forward, and the console lights turned blue. Her energy touching the system, unlocking something hidden. A vault opened, and inside was a file marked Project Child, the last piece of the failed experiment, Sarah and the only one that still lived. Kalen's arm bled. Elliot looked at the screen, then at her. You are not a weapon, you are a key. They sat in the dark. Then let's unlock everything. Listening. No drones yet. Just the sound of wind and trees. Kalen looked at her. Even now. Even hunted. She looked like hope. I think they're afraid of you, not because you're alien, but because you remind them that we weren't always monsters. Sarah smiled faintly. And I think they're afraid of you because you prove we weren't always gods. Outside, the sky began to change again. The storm was coming, but so was the truth. His breath was fire. His legs screamed. His heartbeat was louder than the gunfire behind him. Kalen ran through the forest of steel. Old trees mixed with broken towers. Nature and machine locked in silent war. Sarah ran ahead. Fast. Focused. Her silver hair streamed behind like light in shadow. Behind them, the drones chased. Cold. Unthinking. Built for one purpose. Track the blood key. Erase the anomaly. Branches tore Kalen's arm. Metal roots cut his boots. But he did not stop. He would not stop. A wall rose ahead, covered in vines, marked with glowing signs. Sarah touched the center. Her hand lit up. A blue pulse. A soft sound. The wall cracked open. A tunnel waited inside. Dark. Breathing. They ran into it. The door sealed behind them. Silence. For a moment. Only breath. Only heartbeat. Only the echo of survival. Kalen dropped to his knees. He coughed, tasted blood. Sarah knelt beside him. Her hands searched his side. You're hurt again. We have to stop the bleeding. He shook his head. Later. We need to keep moving. If they find this place, we're done. She nodded, helped him stand. They moved forward, step by step. The tunnel changed, became smooth, silver walls, lights flickering as they passed, symbols on the ground. Old language, her language. Sarah slowed. I know this place. It was built before the war. A sanctuary, a genetic vault, where our creators stored everything. Even the forgotten truths. Kalen looked around. The air felt heavy. The lights seemed to watch. They entered a large chamber. In the center, a tall machine, covered in roots, still alive. Sarah approached it. She placed her hand on the core. It lit up. A voice spoke. Not male, not female, not cold. Welcome. Carrier confirmed. Half-code detected. Unlocking origin archive. The room shook. Walls shifted. Screens came alive. Images floated around them. Stars being born. Worlds shaped by light. Beings tall and glowing. Creating forms. Testing life. Sending seeds across the stars. One seed. One planet. Blue and green. Earth. Humanity was not born. It was built. Designed by her kind. Grown to feel. To adapt. To protect the spark. But something changed. The spark inside them grew too fast. Too wild. They learned war before wisdom. Emotion before balance. The images darkened. War. Fire. Rebellion. We tried to control them. Then tried to destroy them. But one path remained. One child of both. One bridge between maker and made. One blood key. The images stopped. Sarah turned to Kalen. They made you, then feared you, then tried to erase you. But you were always the answer. Not the weapon. The cure. Kalen's legs felt weak. He sat on the cold floor. His whole life. His past. His pain. Now made of lies and broken truths. Sarah sat beside him. They used you, just like they used us. But now we can end that cycle. The machine hummed again. One embryo remains. One soul seed. Compatible with both carriers. Would you like to initiate survival protocol? Kalen looked at Sarah. Her hand reached for his. She was not asking for control. Not for survival of a race. But survival of meaning. Not for duty. Not for orders. Just for us. Because we choose to live. Together. Kalen nodded. He touched the machine. A soft light spread across the chamber. Deep inside, a small pulse began. A tiny spark. The future. Not human. Not alien. But something new. Outside. The drones circled. The human ship scanned the earth. Inside. Hope had already begun. But it was not over. The ship was landing. The storm had found them again. And this time, it would not leave without fire. Felt like time had stopped. The machine pulsed softly in the center of the chamber. A warm glow. A small sound like a distant heartbeat. Not mechanical. Not cold. It sounded alive. Sarah sat in the corner. Her knees pulled to her chest. Her hands covering her face. She did not cry, but her body trembled. Kalen watched her. His hand rested on the floor, touching the glowing lines that led to the embryo chamber. They had done it. They had started the spark. The last seed of both kinds now lived, hidden inside the core. But Sarah looked broken. He moved to her, knelt without speaking, waited. After a moment, she looked up. Her voice came out like wind across broken glass. My body is failing. It was never made to last without others. We shared energy, shared life. I can't keep going like this. Not much longer. Kalen stared at her. A cold weight pressed against his chest. She reached out, touched his face. Her fingers light as dust. You don't understand. I wasn't asking you to breed for my species. I wasn't begging for duty. I was asking you to choose me. Not because I'm the last, but because you're the first who saw me. He placed his hand over hers, held it, felt her pulse. Slow, thin. You're not just some alien survivor. You're the only real thing in this world left to fight for. I'm not leaving you behind. The lights dimmed. A soft alarm echoed from the back wall. The ship had landed. Footsteps. Metal. Coming closer. Kalen stood. Picked up his weapon. Checked the charge. It was low. He looked around the chamber. No traps. No defense. Just them. And the future sleeping in the machine. Sarah stood slowly. She walked to the control panel. Typed in a final sequence. Core sealed. DNA lock engaged. Tamper protection active. The chamber sealed itself. Thick steel walls. Unbreakable by force. Sarah turned to Kalen. Her legs shaking. You have one chance. When they find us, they'll try to take you, not for who you are, but for what's inside. The blood key. The memory. The power to restart the design. Kalen stepped toward her. Held her by the shoulders. Then we give them nothing. Not even a piece of what's real. Above them, a loud crash. Metal door blown open. Voices. Move in. Locate the asset. Kill the alien if resistance is shown. Kalen's jaw tightened. He pushed Sarah behind a column. He raised his weapon. Took a deep breath. Then they entered. Black armor. Helmeted faces. Guns ready. One of them shouted, Kalen, you're under military authority. Stand down. Step away from the subject. He didn't move. He pointed his weapon at the leader. She's not the subject. She's the only reason this future exists. And I'm not your soldier anymore. A shot rang out. Sparks flew from the wall. They opened fire. Sarah grabbed Kalen. Pulled him behind the machine. She hit a panel. A wave of energy burst from the core. Knocked 3 soldiers off their feet. But it drained her. She fell to her knees. Kalen picked her up. Fired back. Hit one. Missed the rest. The leader threw a shock grenade. It rolled near. Kalen kicked it away. It exploded behind them. Smoke. Screams. He carried Sarah into the side tunnel. Ran through the roots. Through the dust. His chest burning. She whispered in his arms. You have to live. One of us has to. Even if I don't make it. The seed will. No. We both will. They reached a cliff. Far above the forest. A jump meant freedom. Or death. Behind them. More soldiers coming. No more options. Kalen looked down. Then at her. Her eyes open. Her breath thin. He held her tighter. Then he stepped off the edge. The wind took them. The sky opened around them. And for 1 second, they were weightless. Not soldier and alien. Not experiment and survivor. Just 2 lives. Falling together. Trusting the world. To catch them. She did not know fear. She had never heard the sound of bombs. Never smelled the burn of war. The world was quiet now. Not perfect, but quiet. Her feet touched soft grass. Her eyes blinked up at the sun. She raised her hand to the sky. Watched the light move through her fingers. She had silver hair like her mother. Dark skin like her father. But her eyes were gold. Not human. Not alien. Something new. Her name was Lyra. She lived in a small dome built into a hill. Covered with moss. Hidden from the sky. Every day she explored the trees. Touched the rivers. Listened to the voices in the wind that no one else could hear. Inside her, something old slept. A spark. A code. A story not written in books but written in blood and memory. One evening, she came home early. The sky had changed. Red clouds moving fast. Like warning smoke. She ran to the dome. Inside, Kalen sat by the fire. His hair longer now. His hands older. But his eyes still strong. Sarah stood by the window. Thin. Quiet. She smiled when she saw Lyra. Like she always did. But this time, there was a shadow in her smile. Lyra walked to her. Touched her hand. What's wrong? Sarah looked at the sky. They found us. Kalen stood slowly. He had known this day might come. They had hidden well. But nothing stayed hidden forever. He looked at Lyra. You remember the stories we told you? About the old world. The war. The machine sky. She nodded. You said it ended. You said we were safe. He knelt in front of her. We were. But some pieces of the old world still hunt. They don't want you to exist. Because you are proof they were wrong. Lyra looked down at her hand. The golden light pulsed again. She could feel it stronger now, like something calling her. What do I do? Sarah stepped close, her voice softer than air. You listen to it. You let it guide you. You don't become what they fear. You become what they never expected. That night, the ship returned. Not as large, not as loud, but deadly. They stood at the edge of the forest. Kalen with his rifle. Sarah with her hand on Lyra's shoulder. The drones hovered, scanned, paused. One voice came through the air. Surrender the anomaly. No violence required. The project ends now. Kalen stepped forward, his voice steady. She is not a project. She is a person. She is the future you tried to bury. The drone spoke again. This is not a request. Sarah walked past Kalen, held Lyra's hand. She lifted it into the air. The gold light grew. Brighter, brighter. The drones shook. Their signals scrambled. They fell to the ground like broken birds. From the ship, no more voice, just silence. Then the ship turned and left. No attack, no fire, just retreat. Lyra looked at her mother. What happened? Sarah smiled, tears in her eyes. They saw you, and for the first time, they understood. Years passed. The world healed slowly. One tree at a time. One breath at a time. Lyra grew, built homes with vines, made maps with starlight, wrote poems in 2 languages, and taught both sides what it meant to be whole. Kalen and Sarah sat together each evening, watching her walk through the tall grass. A child of war, now the keeper of peace. She would never forget where she came from. She would never forget what they lost. But she would make sure no one ever had to ask again. Breed with me, please. I have no one left. Because now, there would always be someone.